The episode starts with a scarlet residue from prior capital punishment staining a nearby white blossom, creating a striking contrast. Gabimaru assumes the pose of execution, prepared to meet his ultimate fate. The executioner draws his blade back and strikes with a few blows, but to everyone's surprise, the sword shatters upon contact, bewildering the officials. With a composed expression, Gabimaru lifts his head, questioning why he cannot succumb to death. He feels little attachment to life, evident in the numerous lives he has taken thus far. Although he does not anticipate a lengthy lifespan, the botched execution leaves him puzzled. He is returned to his cell, where Sajiri chronicles his biography. According to her findings, Gabimaru was born in the shinobi village of Iwabakure and learned assassination techniques at a young age. Despite many perishing during the harsh training, those who survived developed superhuman bodies. She understands that breaking a blade on his flesh is child's play for someone of his caliber. Gabimaru agrees that someone with such poor swordsmanship as the executioner couldn't harm him. He reveals that he didn't even need to use ninjutsu to defend himself. Sajiri expresses her curiosity in seeing some of his techniques, but Gabimaru politely declines to show her. The next day, the Lord orders an unconventional punishment for Gabimaru, burning him at the stake, a punishment typically reserved for the crime of arson. They construct an intricate platform and surround Gabimaru with dry hay. As one of the guards is ordered to pierce him to hasten his death, Gabimaru's spirit remains unbroken, and the spear shatters upon impact, leaving not a single scratch. The shinobi apologizes for causing damage to the weapon. They light the fire, and the flames quickly engulf Gabimaru. However, after a brief moment, his eyes are still visible through the roaring fire. Frustrated, the Lord orders Gabimaru to be sent back to his cell without providing him with fresh clothes. Sajiri returns to question him again, but she avoids looking at him due to his current condition. Gabimaru reassures her that he isn't trying to resist his fate and that he would welcome death. As the conversation continues, Gabimaru opens up about his past and reveals that he is unaware of who his parents are. All he knows is that they perished at the hands of the village chief when he was just an infant. Although he doesn't know why they were killed, he doesn't have any emotional attachment to the event. As a shinobi, he has no dreams or goals beyond his job. When Sajiri inquires about the circumstances that led to his capture, Gabimaru admits that he had attempted to leave the village. However, he was betrayed by his fellow shinobi during a mission and subsequently detained. He believes that the village chief ordered his capture since leaving the village is strictly prohibited. Despite her curiosity, Gabimaru refuses to disclose why he wanted to leave the village. The following day, the Lord orders him to be stretched by bulls in an attempt to break him. Two powerful bulls are tethered to his legs, but to everyone's surprise, Gabimaru effortlessly pulls them back with a simple leg tug, leaving them exhausted. The Lord realizes that his methods are ineffective and orders for more bulls to be brought in. Sajiri observes that although Gabimaru claims he wants to die, he appears to be resisting his fate. Sajiri inquires about Gabimaru's reasons for attempting to leave the village, despite the Lord's eagerness to simply execute him. Gabimaru explains that he was the most skilled shinobi in the village and had gained the chief's recognition, even marrying his daughter. However, he found his wife to be naive and sheltered, causing him frustration and eventually leading him to leave the village. Later that night, Sajiri is warned by an observer to stay away from Gabimaru, who has earned the moniker Gabimaru the Hollow for his emotionless and ruthless killing spree that resulted in the deaths of 20 men before his capture. There is a rumor that the ninjas of Wabekure village consume an elixir of immortality from Shinsenkyo, but Gabimaru apologizes for sharing too much information. Despite his reputation, Sajiri wonders why a hollow man would fight back so fiercely against his death sentence. Meanwhile, Gabimaru contemplates Sajiri's observation and decides to put an end to his life the following day. As the time for his execution arrives, Gabimaru emerges from the boiling oil seemingly unscathed. The guards standing nearby are engulfed in flames as he walks back to his cell, wondering why he hasn't died. In his mind, he believes he should have no lingering attachments that tie him to this world. The Lord is now terrified and demands to know why Gabimaru won't die so they can all be free from this nightmare. With his latest act of survival, Sajiri closes her book and informs the Lord that the arrangements have been made, and she is ready to proceed with the next phase of the punishment. Gabimaru is chained and led to another area, wondering what kind of torment they will subject him to this time. The Lord is smugly confident that this punishment will finally break the shinobi. The doors open, and to Gabimaru's shock, he sees Sajiri sitting before him. The Lord reveals that she is not a mirror inspector but a sword tester sent from Ito, an executioner from the famous Yamada clan, known for their mastery of the sword and their ability to end things with a single blow. Gabimaru is surprised that the Yamada clan has a female tester, but he stands there in shock as she informs him that the shogun has charged her with his execution. Sajiri reminds him that he wanted someone to end his life and that she can fulfill that wish. He envisions her decapitating him, and the shinobi immediately grabs his neck, realizing that she is indeed the real deal. Gabimaru had always felt that his nickname, the Ugly, suited him well. He had grown accustomed to the terrible and the ugly things in life, and it seemed fitting that his name reflected that. One day, his wife hugged him, revealing her face for the first time. She was scared that he would reject her, but to her surprise, he wasn't repulsed by it. Instead, he called her beautiful and kind, and it was then that she knew he was truly special. In a world where men were expected to become shinobi and women were relegated to bearing children, Gamara's wife believed that people's dreams didn't have to die so easily. She kissed her husband, and from the way he blushed, she knew that he couldn't be hollow. Flashing back to the present, he continued his assault, proudly claiming his hollow label. After years of serving as an assassin, Gabimaru decided to retire and live a quiet life with his wife. He went to the chief to ask for permission, but instead of granting it, the chief had him captured. In a moment of desperation, Sajiri came to his aid, pausing the chief in place with a powerful scroll. To their surprise, it turned out to be an official pardon, dismissing all charges against Gabimaru and granting him the shogun's protection. However, there was one condition: he must venture to the underworld. At first, Gabimaru was confused by Sajiri's statement. She explained that there was a land called Shinsenkyo, filled with fertility and joy where there was no pain. People had called it paradise, heaven, and other names for centuries, but it had only recently been discovered by a few travelers. According to reports, the land was full of dancing flowers and beautiful singing voices, and it was said that the immortality-granting elixir of life could be found there. The shogunate sent a search party to acquire the elixir, but only a lone boat returned with beautiful flowers. Upon closer inspection, they discovered that there were remains inside, and the body had a look of joy on its face as flowers grew from its eyes. The authorities sent 5 more expeditions, but none returned. Gabimaru was skeptical of the story, thinking it sounded like a fairy tale. However, Sajiri assured him that it was true. They had seen humans become flowers, and the shogun had concluded that the legends were real. If that was the case, then the elixir of life must be in Shinsenkyo after all. The shogun had issued a new decree: gather the most heinous criminals, those condemned to death, for the next expedition to acquire the elixir of life from the mystical land of Shinsenkyo. Whoever succeeds will be granted a pardon. Sajiri was tasked with finding suitable candidates, someone with both skill and a fierce will to live. She had heard that Gabimaru's wife still resided in Iwagakure, closed off and uncommunicative since his capture. Sajiri believed that Gabimaru's wife must still hold hope for his return, and so she asked Gabimaru again if he had any attachment to life. Gabimaru realized that this was his second chance and shed a tear. The Lord, however, refused to release Gabimaru and ordered his men to attack. Gabimaru remembered that Sajiri wanted to see ninjutsu and released a fire-style technique that defeated all the guards in an instant. Sajiri put the Lord in his place, and Gabimaru agreed to take the deal, despite his complaints about having to go to Edo to make it official. As a shinobi, Gabimaru was eager to take on the challenge of acquiring the elixir and earning his freedom. He was determined to overcome all obstacles and make it back alive for his wife. This brings an end to the episode. If you enjoyed it, then don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our channel.